Welcome one and all to the Fake Sports League, where it's all statistics and no substance. I'm your host, Kenny Fisher. We are on to Game 4, just one game away from the mid-season rivalry week. The season is absolutely flying by. We've got some big player news, including some injury updates, as well as a blockbuster trade from the Mystics and the Tide. First rounder Max Peterson will be suiting up for the Mystics once those trade details get confirmed. Make sure you're tapped into the Discord for all things player news and updates. But that's enough for me. We've got games to see. It is Game 4, and we start things off at the pool where the Tide host the Dragons. A rough start for the Tide this season, but we've got some roster changes. Rusty Ricks getting his first start today, taking on Tobias Fonseca and company. 45 seconds on the clock, and time starts now. Rogelio Gil on the board, and Tide strikes first. Francesco Sage to return the point. Gil right back at you 2-1, and the Tide have the early lead here. No turnovers yet, and Rogelio Gil strikes again 3-1. It's a Keith Fraley cuts the lead to 1, and a surprising start for the Dragons. Joel Masons takes it back for him now, and a wonderful pass to Francesco Sage, who throws it down. It's tied up 3-3. Gil puts the team on his back, and he scores 4 now. Every point coming from Rogelio Gil today. Joel Masons takes it back for the Dragons. Quinton Bauman's possession didn't last long. Fonseca this time with a beautiful play back to Francesco Sage, and it's tied up. There's 7 seconds left. Rusty Riggs puts one up on the board. 5, 4, 3. Tobias gets it back, and Francesco Sage sends us to overtime. What a sequence from the Dragons to stay alive. Joel Masons and Tobias Fonseca, 2 turnovers apiece, and we are into overtime now. 25 seconds on the clock for overtime, and should we still be tied, we will head to double overtime. Here we go. Tide playing the best game of the season so far against the Dragons, and it's Cleveland Falk to take it back. Can the Tide capitalize on this possession? Time running out now, and Keith Fraley takes the lead for the Dragons. But Rogelio Gil now 5 points, ties it up for the Tide. Darren Arnold takes it back, and Rogelio Gil slams it down. Xavier King ties it up. Tobias Fonseca gets it back, 1 second left, and we will head to double overtime now. Same rules as before in second overtime, but this time, if the 25 seconds expires and the game has still not concluded, we will head to shootouts. Let's get things going here. Both these teams got to be exhausted at this point, but Sloan takes the lead for the Tide. Not so fast, says Keith Fraley. It's tied up. Rusty Riggs puts one up for the Tide, and Francesco Sage ties it up. Rogelio Gil with 7 points today, and time is starting to become a factor. Under 10 seconds left. The Dragons got to respond here. 5 seconds remaining. Can the Dragons? Time is running out, and Keith Fraley. It's Keith Fraley to do it for the Dragons. This game's not over yet. Right at the buzzer, Keith Fraley puts it in. This has never happened in FSL history. We're going to our very first ever shootout. For those at home, let me explain this to you. Each team will send out 1 offensive player and 1 defensive player to go head-to-head. The point is either scored or it is blocked. Teams will alternate back and forth in a best of 5 and will continue until we have a winner. Just keep in mind, as you've seen, it is a lot easier to score a point than it is to block a point. That being said, first up, Rogelio Gil versus Tobias Fonseca. And Fonseca blocks the point. Xavier King up against Cleveland Falk. And it's a block for Falk. Raphael Sloan versus Joel Masons. My goodness, Masons gets the block. Keith Fraley against Quinton Bauman. And Bauman saves. Rusty Ricks against Warren Becker. And Ricks scores. Tide is on the board. Francesco Sage against Darren Arnold. Sage ties it up. Back to Gil and Fonseca. Gil scores here. King and Falk. Xavier King ties it up. Sloan and Masons. And Joel Masons blocks the shot. If Keith Fraley scores, he wins. Oh my goodness, and there you have it. Keith Fraley scores for the Dragons, and the Dragons take it after a long bout of shootouts. 2 overtimes and 5 rounds later, and the Dragons are your winners today. What a game. Who thought that would be as close as it was? How can we top that? We take things now to Comets Planet, where Quinn McHugh and the Knights will face off against first overall pick Jaden Little. 45 seconds on the clock, starting now. Both these teams desperate for momentum early in Season 3, and Quinn McHugh strikes first for the Knights. Wiley Little right back out him 1-1. Quinn McHugh again 1-2 now. Leonard Pate takes it back for the Knights. The pass now is intercepted by Clyde Steele. Can he get it up? Junior Mosley takes it from Clyde Steele. Can they capitalize all that for Jaden Little to tie things up for the Comets? Quinn McHugh gets his third today, but Jaden Little does not let the lead last for long. Quinn McHugh with 4 now, right back at him, and Stefan Bang gets the takeaway, and Pablo Lambert finishes. Sammy Swanson stops the bleeding just under 10 seconds now. Wiley Little throws it down to tie it up. Quinn McHugh gets his 5th, but Jaden Little ties it up 1 second. Lee Cho. It's Lee Cho to finish it off, and the Knights win by 1. And how about that game? Quinn McHugh with 5 points and Lee Cho to finish the job. Jaden Little with 3 points, and these are 2 very impressive teams heading into the midseason. We take things to the tower now, where the Frogs take on the Mystics. Good to see Drew Park back in the lineup. We'll see if he's feeling better today. But it is always intimidating to be lined up against Burl Packer and Percy Willis on the Mystics. 45 seconds now, and let's get things going. The Mystics have been one of the hottest teams in the FSL so far, but the Frogs just came off their first win. They're feeling good. Percy Willis with the first point of the day, and Drew Park strikes back. Frogs are going to need a strong showing on offense today, and Drew Park again, foot looking just fine. Percy Willis ties it up, and Drew Park 3-2 now. 3-3 is just Percy Willis and Drew Park scoring points for both teams, and Carlos Gutierrez breaks the pattern. 4-4 now. Gary Black strikes for the Frogs. Carlos Gutierrez on the board, 5-4. Frogs holding their own. Drew Park looking great. 10 seconds on the clock. Very clean offense, is not a single turnover today. And Doug Powers makes his presence known. 5 seconds on the clock. 2-point lead for the Mystics. Benny Bronk takes it for the Frogs. And Drew Park, last second, but just not enough time for the Frogs to get it going. It's great to see Drew Park scoring points after missing last week with a foot injury. 4 points for Drew Park, 4 points for Percy Willis. Mystics survive 6-5. It is time now for the game of the week. It is the best rivalry in the FSL. The Phantoms host the Sharks. Marcus Evans and Alki are out for blood, facing off against Chase Dubois and Octavio Brin. Let's kick this one off. Both teams looking really great this season, but the Phantoms are undefeated. Marcus Evans strikes first. The Sharks are on the board. Octavio Brin returns the favor 1-1 now. Cornelius Gross with the takeaway, and the pass to the offense. Can they slam it down? Stutter step. Keeps the possession, and Donnie Earls finishes the job. Low-scoring match, and Alki puts one up on the board. It's 3 points for the Sharks, but Fabian Hills cuts the lead to 1. 1-point game, and that does not look good. Hold on now. We're have to take a break here. Fabian Hills on the ground, not moving, and we will take a break. Welcome back. For those just tuning in, Fabian Hills was on the ground, not moving just moments ago. He is being carted off on a stretcher. We hope that everything is okay with him. We will keep you updated on all player news and get you updates as soon as we have them. Tune into the FSL Discord in the description below for all player updates and news. It will be Courtney May from Ridgecrest University to take his place, and we have just gotten the signal we are cleared to play. 18 seconds now, and the Sharks lead by 1. Phantoms hoping to rally back after the team crowded around Hills, and it's Octavio Brin to tie the game. But Donnie Earls pulls ahead, 3-4 now, 5 seconds remaining. Marcus Evans, 2 points for him in the lead. And the Sharks take the game, 4-5, 1-point victory for the Sharks on the road. The Phantoms are dethroned, and there is no undefeated teams remaining. And here's a look at your standings. Number 1 and number 2 going head-to-head next week as the Phantoms take on the Mystics in Rivalry Week. This bracket is wide open, and there's a lot of game to be played left. Get plugged into the Discord and get the hype going because it's Rivalry Week. All 8 teams will be matched up against their rivals in Week 5. Don't forget to talk some trash in the Discord this week. Game 5 is up Friday at 8/7 Central. Make sure you tap in from the link in the description. We got events, injury updates, trade news, and live watch parties. So make sure you get plugged in there. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been an official broadcast from the Fake Sports League. That's it for me in the booth. We'll catch you next week for Rivalry Week.